Hey, good morning. It's 11:34 a.m. It is July 19th. It is Friday. For you guys who are at work, you just have a few more hours to go, and then you guys can let loose in the privacy of your own home. Enjoy it. So, I wanted to come on here and make a video because, I've been doing a lot of thinking, reflecting, and some of my reflection is going like way back, way back. Way back when I was very young and just like a little naive, and which made it fun because I was somebody who didn't see the world exactly how it really was. Okay, so through the eyes of a kid, it's like people are, the majority of the people in the world are decent. You've got a family that you love and you think that they love you back. You feel as though you have some sort of security, and most of those ideas that you have are basically because you are being kind of brainwashed, or you are being kind of deceived, or you are assuming that people have the same sort of feelings and beliefs that you do. We project, okay? We project naturally, okay? Just like, things that are, if I value, that I think are important to me when you're young, or when just, I would say this is a general opinion or feeling that most people have, okay? Some people normalize things in their behavior, and they normalize it so much that they think it's appropriate for every single person to be that way, or that it's just a natural flow of how the majority live. Like, I always believed that families were supposed to be supportive. I didn't think that they were exploitative or anything like that, in abuse. I mean, I knew they were existed, right? I didn't see myself as in one of those families until, I started looking back and putting pieces together. But this is how things are, okay? I was thinking back to the summer of 1978. Now, I was about 7 years old, okay? And I'm going to say, I have always loved music when I was a kid. But that year, it was so exciting, okay? I know that my dad was spending time outside of the house a lot. He was probably in like either New York, and then he went to San Diego. He was on business trips, okay? But it was just like, to me, it was 24 hours a day, fun, fun, fun. Like, we would go to the store, and then when we come back, we would have like little things that we buy at the grocery store. Like little packets of like toys, just to entertain your kid while you're in the supermarket. Just like they might be a little packs of earrings, or like a jewelry box, or maybe like a mommy, what do you call it? A type of, I call them mommy versus, well, the grow up type things that encourage kids to, like child guidance toys. That's what I'm referring to. Child guidance toys. Like, back in the day, on the back of a package, it would say, this toy is designed to be a child guidance toy. So it was like things that were designed to help kids fall into a role when they were younger, when they got older, sorry. So like, you might purchase a playset for your kid that had like a little sink and a little stove and that little cabinet and the little, the things that you put inside a kitchen, right? And little girls would want to play with those sort of things because they want to pretend that they are the mommies and they're having kids. They got the little baby doll and the little high chair and all this other stuff, right? So, my year in 1978 was filled with that sort of stuff. Just like so exciting. And what made it even more exciting was the music. The music made it exciting. It seemed like didn't matter what station that came on, regardless. I mean, I had mentioned that people thought it was odd that my father was a country western music lover. Okay, but I have to say, growing up, I would get in like a little bit of arguments with my dad because it wasn't because I didn't think that he had the right to listen to country music because he was a black man. I did not see the value in country music at the time because I was more interested in things like, you know, at that age, okay, um, I was interested. What caught my eye was the glamour. Glamour of certain individuals. Okay, so when I would see country artists and stuff like that, some of them were glamorous, but they weren't people that I would get sucked into too much. Mainly because I was into, at that time, music that would help me be more active. Okay, like, I remember I would listen to a lot of disco when I was a kid. Now, I grew up listening to all kinds of music. Like, my parents listened to things like Motown. We listened to Nat King Cole. That was one of the first artists that I really do remember listening to, like one of the first ones. And me learning all the words and lyrics to their songs and singing it and surprising my family, like especially my dad. He's like, oh my gosh, she knows all the words. And then of course I was a Simon and Garfunkel lover. Okay, so Simon and Garfunkel to me was like the backdrop of a lot of my earlier years before 1978. So I grew up listening and liking and being attracted to songs that were kind of reflective in their lyrics. Okay, but for some reason in 1978, I just wanted to be more active. I used to love getting on the driveway and disco dancing. Okay, I would have the radio on, and I would just kind of, if I wasn't dancing to the music, then I was roller skating to the music. Okay, I was just somebody who loved glamour, loved watching TV shows where, like for example, Wonder Woman. Like, I remember watching her. What I loved about her was, okay, the clothing that she wore in both her Diana Prince wardrobe, and the cool part was, it's like, she's all reserved and everything, and then she turns into this like beautiful goddess, Amazon woman. Okay, so it was mesmerizing for a little kid. Okay, so I would spend my time watching shows like Wonder Woman, and then when I got bored, I knew I could always go roller skating, and then I could listen to music. I felt like I always had something to do, and I knew that year it seemed like I was really active all the time. I would go to the park, and they would have like park and recreation type things that you can join in, and like bake. You could do baking, making arts and crafts, and this was a year where I felt active, right? I'm very happy. So I grew up watching people on TV. I grew up listening to all kinds of music, and I grew up just, in a world that I felt was very enjoyable. Okay, but I grew up in a world of glamour. Okay, and I think a lot of people have, because when you're young, we are mesmerized by what is glamorous. Now, I want to be upfront with you, okay? Glamour has its place, okay? When it comes to how we appear, like for example, stage actors, okay? Stage actors and people who sing, right? Um, I didn't realize, well, yeah, when you're little, you really do confuse their glamour, their stage persona with who they are. You know what I mean? And as I got older, like as a teenager, I started kind of resenting, I think the over obsession with celebrities, because when I was younger, especially if you found one that was attractive, what I mean? If they're attractive and they have talent, they mesmerize people. That's a part of the glamour. And in the next slide, I'm going to go into the definition of glamour. See, I like breaking down what words mean, okay? Because we use these words and these terms, often, but we don't really think about how deep it really is, okay? But, I think just about everybody can be mesmerized by people that we see on TV, especially when you're little, okay? I know when I was younger, there were certain people who were really popular in 1978, and I didn't think about the issue of color. I just knew that I really didn't. I just thought, wow, they're singing this song, they look really cool, they're dressed up all fancy, and every time I would see them in pictures in the tabloids, they would be coming out of limousines. I think it was called Studio 54 or one of those. I can't quite think of that name, right? But it seemed like, these people were either partying, vacationing, and while they were doing it, they were looking like, just top notch. Very impressive. I know when I was growing up, I had all kinds of fascinations with people who I thought were like, great. And I want to continue that respect with some of them. Okay. My problem is that sometimes glamour has a dark side. It has a very dark side. Okay. And I'm going to go into the definition of glamour in the next slide. Now, I already know what the word means, but a lot of people don't know what these words mean. So it is my responsibility to break it down again and to refresh your memory on these definitions, okay? within the English vocabulary. All right, so now I checked out WordNick, of course. All you got to do is Google it, a word, and get the definition, to say like the word, type in the word and then the definition, okay? And then hit click and you're going to be able to look up words if you haven't already, okay? So when you think about the word glamour, okay, the first definition that they give you is exciting or mysterious attractiveness, usually associated with striking physical beauty, luxury, or celebrity. Now, this is part of what a celebrity is, and that's a part of the profession. You know, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? But people could get mesmerized by a person's persona, so much so that we forget that they're human beings. You know what I mean? We don't think about them doing the same things that other people do, or that they are capable of certain things that regular street people do. Okay, like what I'm talking about is obviously, you know, some people use coupons, right? We don't think about stars cutting coupons or using coupons, okay? Whether you're downloading an app to use it, or back in the day when you cut them out from a newspaper or a magazine. Okay, we don't think of them. We just think of them as always, smiling for the camera, always, being, they're shining. They're constantly, mesmerizing people with their mysterious attractiveness. Okay, like I said, that's a part of their profession. This is one of the things that makes them stars. Okay, like when we look back and think about some of the heartthrobs that we thought were just so amazing, right? What is the main thing that lured us in? Okay, for some people that I remember looking up to, some of it was their looks. Okay, not necessarily their talent when I was a kid. Okay, now when I got older, I developed more of a refined taste. Okay, and so you start looking beyond like those sort of superficial things of like just their cuteness. Okay, because I got older, my views became more serious. So guess what? So there's a need for me to listen to music that was more serious. Now don't get me wrong. There's times where I want to just dance or reflect, or you just like really take in the essence of what it was like to be a childhood. We go through these periods where we want to reminisce. Okay, there's nothing wrong with that. This is all part of the beauty of the music that these people have contributed throughout the years. Okay, this is what it's for. Okay, and thank goodness we have things that we can like use to dig back into that and tap back into that energy, because sometimes in our darkest moments, that's the one thing that cheers us up, right? But we do get mesmerized because they are mysteriously attractive, and they they appear. Not all celebrities live in luxury, okay? But this is one of the reasons why we call them stars, okay? They're different. They're up there. They're glamorous. We're all mesmerized. Number two definition. Now this is important because there is in magic things called glamour spells, right? Glamour, magic cast by a spell enchantment. Now, when people have that stage persona, okay, like your name might be Freddie Thompson, okay? But you might have a stage name that makes you something else, okay? And taking on certain names and vibrations is going to give you a different vibration that's going to be cast outward. Like, for example, if I change my name to Vivian, right? My appearance is going to change to people. It's going to be like, oh, Vivian sounds very elegant. It sounds very, ooh, wow, like, what do you do? Like, aren't you something? It kind of changes, and it might also kind of give off the vibe that I'm kind of hoity-toity. Okay, I've always liked the name Vivian. Okay, but it does change your vibration. Okay, and so that's a part of the glamour. It's a part of this person's persona to get you excited, mysterious, because you're lured in by their attractiveness, and it's a form of what the number two definition, enchantment. We're enchanted by these people. You know what I mean? I knew even certain people that I used to watch when I was a kid. I may not necessarily have been their fans, but I will tell you one thing: some people were so odd and so interesting that I was certainly interested in their persona. I may not have owned, like, for example, there was a singer, you know, I'm not going to mention his name, okay, that I thought was kind of cool. And he did have some songs that I enjoyed, okay, even though it's not something, a genre that I would particularly listen to all the time. What I was lured into was his ability to express himself, okay, and his persona, his stage persona, okay, at the time when I was little, through a child's eye, seemed wild, whimsical, and who would not be, you know, drawn in by that? Because they do some wacky things, strange things. At least they do as their stage persona to get us interested. At least maybe that's what they did. I mean, on purpose, or that was, I don't know. Who knows? Okay, I don't know. But one thing I do know is when I look at celebrities, I do understand that I understand that they have this need, or not need, but this air about them that mesmerizes us. Okay, and the number three is, the definition is a charm affecting the eye, making objects appear different from what they really are. Right? Now, don't get me wrong, I love glamour. Okay, a certain element of it, and I would say that I have a balance about glamour. Like, you know, when people put when people get dressed up, okay, like really dressed up, I'm talking like to like really cool events, like the kind of event that I've always wanted to go into, like with a nice black dress, the long sleeves, you know, I have my hair all looking sleek and everything. That's great, you know what I mean? But that's a form of glamour. It's glamorous, right? It's beautiful, but I'm that way just for that night. You know, just for that night, because when I get home, I'm taking off all of that, and I'm right back down to whatever. You know what I mean? So there's a balance between glamour or whatever. Because if people were to base me in, or see me in a dress, an elegant dress, all the time, right? People might start to think that, you know, I'm rich. You know, sometimes, you know, our material possessions can give off a vibe that creates a vibe to other people that could kind of throw us off. Like, you know, I knew a lot of people when I was growing up that would sacrifice their ability to pay for rent so that they could drive a like Mercedes Benz, knowing good and well that they couldn't really afford it. But guess what? People who would see them at first, right, would see them driving this car and they think, shit, man, he's got it together. He's got his stuff together. Why? Because he needs to project that. That's a form of glamour. It's a form of glamour because you really, you know, you're scraping your change together. You know, you don't have like, you know, enough money to really get by, but you are basically trying to make it look as though you do. Okay, that's a form of glamour, right? And you're using it with your material possession. Okay. Now, I'm going to go into the next slide and talk about my experience with my personal experiences. Okay. Okay, so as many of you guys know that I have been trafficked by people in the industry, okay? And I don't want to go too deeply into this issue because it's not a matter of me pointing fingers anymore because I think people know, you know, the people who are responsible for this and the disrespect that was being shown to me um, as they were doing it. Now, I had been thinking a lot about this issue of, you know, combining religion with, you know, a smear campaign and how dangerous that is. Okay, that's very, very dangerous. Okay, and it's not like, you know, I didn't mention this before. Okay, um, what I know what we're dealing with is things like brainwashing. Okay, brainwashing is very dangerous. Okay, um, I'm aware that, you know, this issue, this residual issue, since going back to, um, oh gosh, you know, I think I'm going to just start saying Facebook period, my Facebook period of 2008, 9, somewhere around there time period, okay, when these things started getting very wonky, okay, where, you know, the people that I used to know from school were starting to act strange and whatever, you know, and I'm putting it together, okay, I'm putting the pieces together in the puzzle. Okay, and I mentioned this yesterday. I think it was yesterday when I made the video of, you know, what ended up happening. Um, I'm going to let you understand something that um, this is something that people should not forget. Okay, this is an issue that people should not forget, and it should be something that opens the eyes to many people. Okay, this is happening to a lot of people. Some of the intuitive messages that I got today, because I've been waking up, and I'm gonna. No, I've always been waking up, but I wanted to talk a little bit about this issue of human trafficking, um, and how a lot of people, especially women, are getting affected by this issue. And this is one of the reasons why I decided to, just take down my channel, my Kofi channel, because we are at a time right now where things are getting very manipulated behind the scenes. Okay, this is one of the reasons why a lot of people find themselves, overexerting themselves when it comes to the job search, trying to find a job. Uh, People being forced out of their professions. Also, even sadly, it's even affecting. And I'm not saying it is with Kofi, and I'm not saying it is not. Okay, I'm going to. I'm not trying to create, agitation, but I do have my suspicions that I am being somebody who is being followed, and also having my resources siphoned through, through certain groups of people. Okay, and they feel justified in doing it because they use religion to further their agenda. Okay, brainwashing is a very is a very complex issue. Okay, and I want to tell you, when it comes to the reason why I always felt happy about living in the United States is because of religious freedom. When I think about this, is a good example of being brainwashed. Okay, why? Because um, obviously, we have an issue of religion, and these people perhaps believe um, that they were justified in the abuse that they were giving me. Meaning, like, oh, it's okay if we take her stuff because, after all, she's a spirit creature by DNA, or it's okay if we abuse her and take her things because she was a man in her past life. It's okay if we do these things to her because she came back from the dead, as well as these same clone type people who are getting involved in this crime in the first place. Okay, so they would say these things to justify their reasons for doing it. Now, where this comes into a legal issue is, here's the thing: in the United States, we have freedom of religion. Okay, now I know that over in England they have something similar. They're a little bit further behind the United States. I don't know every little intricate detail of their laws, but I do know that people who practice the occult, this whole ban on occult type interest was released sometime in the 1950s. I did a video about that a few months ago. Okay, where I talked about Gerald Gardner and all this other stuff. Okay, but the thing is, people have the right to believe whatever they want to believe. You can believe a lot of things. There's certain religions that are directly opposing other religions. They view other people as unclean. They view certain whatever. And you know what? Legally, they can do that. Okay? But you know what makes it illegal is when you act on that. Okay? That's interesting, right? So this is where the law comes in. You can believe what you want to believe. Okay, you know why it becomes a big deal when people get their churches bombed and stuff like that? Because that's a hate crime. You are basically trying to either destroy somebody's form of worship, or you want to make a statement or whatever. You're enacting a crime, or you're trying to prevent somebody from living their life, okay, based on your belief, okay? And by trying to force me into your belief system, right, you are basically acting as a terrorist while you're doing it. Okay, now, people are cute. There's some people who are very cute. Growing up, there were certain people that I thought were very cute. You know what I mean? But that doesn't mean I'm going to be a doormat for anybody. And see, the problem with a lot of celebrities or whatever is they think that they're so cute that people are going to think it's okay for them to abuse other people. Okay, there's a lot of narcissism that's involved in this. Okay, so I got the messages I got today were that a lot of people are already aware of what was going on, but they were seeing it through this eyes of the brainwashing. Okay, now, yeah, if people really believed that I was a, a spiritual deviant, so much so to the point where I was an evil person because I came back in a different sex. Okay, which I think a lot of people would come to realize when it comes to reincarnation that can happen. Now, I know reincarnation when it comes to me and my father came to this earth um, through natural birth, I believe, and you can be reincarnated through birth or the what you call it, cloning process. Okay, the spirit is all on its own. It can do what it wants to do. All it needs is a vessel. Okay. Um, anyway, what I'm trying to do is I'm using this issue to bring awareness of the evil and the lies that go on that perpetuate this sort of activity. Okay. When it comes to what we believe, okay, like I said, there are some people who have, uh, what I'm going to say genocidal type of beliefs directed towards certain people, whether that be because they believe that because I am a different race, because I come from a race of magical people, that therefore I don't have rights. Therefore, that the people could help themselves to what it is that belongs to me. Therefore, that people can speak for me. I don't have a voice. This sort of stuff that's basically would go under the law of racism and possibly sexism. Okay, there's so many isms in here that it's just beyond shocking. Okay, but when it comes to targeting individuals, believe me, I'm telling you that the world of um, the world that we live in is very, very strange and very wicked, and it also is shakes you to the core because you start seeing people in a way that you've never seen them before. And one of the things about receiving a spiritual awakening is that you see things for what they really are. And see, this is one of the reasons why I try to keep my distance from people. This is one of the reasons why, and with good reason, because it seems like every time I see and spend time with people or know people too deeply, that what ends up happening is my eyes become awake. Because at this point, I have to be very careful about who comes near me. Okay, so here we have some individuals who apparently, based on my downloads, have been doing this kind of stuff. They think this sort of activity is fun. They enjoy this sort of activity. They think it's okay to do the sort of things that they do. And they've been given instructions to do these sort of things. This is one of the reasons why they behave the way that they do. Okay, it's just a corrupt situation all the way down the line. So they of course, uh, what do you call it, mingled in with the people that I used to know. And because people are what? They're mesmerized by celebrities. They're mesmerized by them. They're so mesmerized by them that they're not thinking that these people are criminals. What other word do you have for it? I'm going on to the next slide. All right, so I'm always got my little scratch pad and my little thoughts that I jot down. So I'm thinking about when we think about the word celebrity and glamour, and we think about everything that these people conjure up in our minds. Okay, at least my mind. Okay, and if you agree with some of the things I'm saying, great. But I think the majority of people feel the same way when it comes to certain celebrities that they grew up watching or listening to or whatever. Number one, they create intrigue and many follow. When I was younger, okay, you start to develop, you start knowing what you like, and one of the things that you start noticing what you like and what you're into is you start gravitating to certain music. Okay, now when I was younger, I had talked about me listening to things like Simon and Garfunkel, really enjoying it as a child, and I always, for every year of my life, I have loved Simon and Garfunkel. To me, they remind me of like cuddling up in a big chair with a nice blanket, sipping on either coffee, hot chocolate, and looking out a window, reflecting. To me, their music has always been beautiful. Okay, now some people are thinking, okay, that's kind of old school. Well, I'm not really very young. Okay, I'm not, but I grew up listening to this kind of music, and it's pretty much the backdrop of my life. But they do create intrigue. Celebrities create intrigue, and many follow. Okay, so when I was at the stage in my life in 1978, okay, where I was little Miss Disco Queen on the driveway, and I was incorporating my disco moves with my roller skates. Okay, I'm going to tell you what, celebrities were a huge part of my life. Okay, and I did follow many of them as I got to be a teenager, especially when you are a teenager and you start realizing that these are certain things that you like. And when you see a celebrity that's actually acting out the things that you're interested in, right? You become attracted to them because in some way you identify them with a part of yourself, right? This is one of the reasons why certain people like certain kinds of music or certain kinds of sounds. There's something about this person that you feel a attachment to because you see this in yourself. Okay, so I know, like, for example, back in the 80s, okay, I think just about every girl thought Madonna was the coolest person, black, white, or whatever. Okay, people started wearing those little bands around their ankles. I know if she came out and she was wearing certain sunglasses, people wanted to get that. They're trendsetters, okay? They're trendsetters. And they create intrigue, and many follow. And you know what? That's not necessarily a bad thing, because, like I said, I used to see certain stars celebrities would wear things like one earring. I never thought about that before. You just gave me a completely different idea on how to, present like a fashionable idea. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Okay, there could be a healthy um, balance, between being obsessed, and having respect for someone, right? Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one. Okay, number two, glamour makes it so that the true nature of a person is hidden. Okay, so if you see a celebrity, they might have mental disorders, bizarre affiliations, and warped agendas. Okay, but you never know that. All you see is somebody busting out a song, you know what I mean, and looking good while they're doing it. And plus, sometimes if they're really, really got a lot of glamour going on in the stage, they've got lighting, they've got a certain effects, they got all kinds of stuff, okay? And it draws you in. You don't think about the kind of weird things that go through their mind. You don't think about, do they believe this? Or do they have, are they Ku Klux Klan members in disguise? Are they, do they have warped agendas? You know what I mean? You don't think about those things. You just think about how awesome they look, right? Or how awesome their song is, okay? And that's a part of glamour, because that's exactly what it is. It's that persona is meant to do that. It's meant to mesmerize you, okay? And that's, like I said, that's not necessarily a bad thing, because I will tell you, some of these people have entertained us for years. This is one of the reasons why I love them, okay? But you got to keep it honest, what do you call it, a balanced view of it, okay? Just how much are you willing to go jump off a cliff for someone? I don't think so. Okay, so let me go on to the next one. Okay, number three. One thing about celebrities is that we assume they are satisfied and without hatred issues. Now, when I was younger, and I would use this particular singer a lot as an example. Why? Because this person was like pretty much interwoven into my entire life since I was a kid. It seems like since I came out of the womb. Their music was always in the background, always in the background. And you think about, I never actually thought, okay, or sat here and analyzed, like, I wonder, do they have women issues? I wonder, are they abusers? I wonder, are they racist? I never thought about these sort of things. You know why? Because I just looked at people who had the things that they had as people who were completely satisfied. Because why? Because I would be satisfied with that. Like, if I was in a profession, right, where I was fully expressing myself, okay, these people have the catalog of music that it's beyond impressive. Okay, it's blown a lot of people away. Okay, white and black people. Okay, black people have recorded their songs. Okay, they have left an impression on the minds of many people. You know what I mean? Now, why could you not be satisfied with that? I would. I'll tell you what, if I was somebody who was able to do my profession and do it well, okay, and were and was able to analyze the special gifts that I had, I would feel nothing but contentment. I should feel nothing but contentment. Okay, but unfortunately, I'm coming to know that a lot of these people are nothing but of the discontented just by their actions. Now, when it comes to groupies, and these are people that have groupies themselves have always fascinated me. Okay, I remember when I was in high school, I was hanging out with this one girl, and she was like a kind of a drifter. She'd come in to a town, and then she'd drift right out. Okay, and what I found fascinating about this was is that her mom was like this big groupie. She was a deadhead. She was a follower of the Grateful Dead, and it literally follow the Grateful Dead. Now, mind you, the Grateful Dead, I don't know, believe that they ever settled in Lancaster when I was growing up, but I know that a lot of people lived in Lancaster and they would commute to regions like like Los Angeles or whatever. So it almost seemed as though her life revolved around her mom's life revolved around this, okay? And hey, I'm not judging it, whatever, okay? But I know for a fact that it's a nightmare to pick up and move. As an adult, it's a nightmare to pick up and move. And I know that when I've been targeted over the last few years, when I was working down in Chatsworth, remember my original goal was to get a job in Chatsworth, find an apartment in Chatsworth, but that didn't happen. Because the minute I started working down in Chatsworth, the mobbing started happening, and I realized I could not live in Chatsworth. Okay, so I decided to settle down, keep staying in the Antelope Valley until I could find another job. But they have me blocked off, right? My point is that I know that I commuted for a very long time, and I know that when I got mobbed out of my job in Chatsworth, I had to pick back up, and then I came back down to Bakersfield. From that point, I moved back to the Antelope Valley a few times and bounced back and forth to Bakersfield, all because of this targeting. Okay, now for me to think that somebody like this girl's mom, okay, would actually do this and bend over backwards for a band. Okay, maybe she really liked this band, okay, and she might have gotten this might have fulfilled her. I don't know, okay, but I'm going to tell you what, I would never go through that again. Moving because of my targeting issue, okay, for any of these people, okay. I'm not going to let myself be inconvenienced because somebody's abusing me. Now, I understand that when it comes to this lady who was like the big groupie, the big deadhead, it seems as though she was a willing participant. She enjoyed this, okay? It was a part of her lifestyle, okay? Where there was the Grateful Dead, this one was going to follow. And I'm not knocking it, okay? I'm not. Mind you, and the reason why I'm bringing it up is because some people, um, some groupies, now I'm not saying all, and just because she enjoyed her life revolved around following the Grateful Dead does not necessarily mean that she's a bad person or she's weak or whatever. She was doing what she liked to do, okay? But some people can follow stars and celebrities to the point of where they can end up engaging themselves into certain things that are wrong because this particular celebrity is leading them into their doom, is basically what I'm saying. Okay, so as long as she had a level head on her shoulders, and if she wanted to do that and to keep picking up all her furniture and moving all the way around, whatever, you go right ahead. Okay, but I know that I have been inconvenienced bouncing here, bouncing there, and when I found out who was involved in it, let me tell you something. I really don't give a shit who's involved in it. Okay, I didn't deserve to be bounced around. Okay, and I am not that groupie, the kind of groupie. I can't consider myself a groupie because I'm not brainwashed. I'm not a brainwashed person. You know what I mean? Brainwashed to where like everything people all lay out all the abuse that you're going to give me, and I'm going to be okay with it. I'm not okay with it at all. Next slide. Okay, as an adult, I have always thought and reflected back about how who I value in my life, what's important in my life, um, you know, and how I'm supposed to see people. Now, um, in the last 2 years, I have been developing, certain opinions about certain things. Like, what about celebrities? What about entertainers? You know what I mean? What about them? Now, before all of this happened, and I know that these particular people who got involved, okay, I mentioned Libra 14, and I'm going to withhold the names of these other two people who have a very big history in the music business. I'm not going to mention their names. Okay, because it's sad to say that to mention their names makes me want to puke. Okay, why? Because I'm not disturbed by it. Okay, but I'm sure everybody else knows, so I don't need to go there. Okay, now, as an adult, and I would say I've been this way since the mid 90s, okay, I know how to separate the entertainment from the entertainer. Okay, when I was back in the 90s, I would run into celebrities every once in a while because I was going to school like in the Los Angeles area. And you see them from time to time. And I remember like seeing another celebrity up close, and just not really bothering them, but just kind of seeing them from a distance. And I just figured they didn't want to be bothered. You know what I mean? I know what it's like to get a bunch of like attention that I don't want when I was dealing with like mobbing. Okay, so I understood that people are people, and that some people have flaws. That I didn't necessarily want to stop liking their music or their acting just because they screwed up. Like sometimes a celebrity will do something, and then all of a sudden, like you know, um, people will like. How can I say that? It depends. It depends. Okay, like maybe. Okay, like in this case. Okay, I don't like being a victim of human trafficking or forced marriages or people assuming that they have rights to the things that belong to me. I have the right to say that. This is one of the reasons why I have chosen to stop monetizing my work at this moment. Okay, until I figure out something else or whatever. However this whole thing plays out. Because obviously there was some sort of agenda to squash me or some people to benefit from things that I'm working on to take care of myself. Okay, and I don't appreciate it. Okay, and I don't care who is doing it. So I have to separate the entertainment from the entertainer. Meaning, like when it came to Libra 14. Okay, now a lot of people know that I've been a fan of this particular group for many years. Okay, and I stopped listening to his music. Okay, I did. I stopped listening to his music, and now I found out that these two other individuals with a long history, because of their brainwashing and their religious indoctrination and their sick, disgusting doctrine, wanted to sit here and bring it into the corporate world and involve other businesses and include people that I used to know and all of this other stuff. Okay, incorporating religion. Um, if I had to sit here and stop listening to every single song that I like because of somebody being a part of some sort of mind control program or whatever, or hate crime, I'm not going to. A lot of people got involved in this for all kinds of reasons. Okay? So I'm separating the entertainment from the entertainer. Meaning, I can see where these people's music was beautiful to me, and I liked it, and I appreciated it. Okay, but the entertainer, the person that they are, is something I can't respect anymore. You know what I mean? Nobody should ever be able or be allow themselves to tolerate that kind of abuse and that sort of disrespect. That's reality. Okay, no one deserved that. Okay, numbers. Let me go on to the next one. So when I can separate the entertainment from the entertainer, will I ever start listening to that music again, ever again? Like, if I'm listening to Pandora and like an old song, comes on from like maybe Libra 14's catalog, okay, am I going to sit here and listen to it, or I'm going to thumb it down, fast forward it, whatever? What am I going to do? You know what I mean? Like I said, that all depends in time. That all depends in time. Meaning, I am not going to sit here and I'm not going to allow people's filth to stop me from liking a song if I like that song. Okay, but like I said, when it comes to them as a person, I'm not going to respect them. I don't have any respect. It's gone. Okay, and this is one of the reasons why I'm saying, you know, I put a distance between me and this celebrity group right now. And, you know, for however long I feel, for whatever. Okay, right now I'm on some sort of hiatus and I need to be. Okay, and I'm not rushing. I don't, you know, to me, I'm literally coasting. Why? Because I understand that what happened here is something that I will never accept. I'm shocked by. You know what I mean? I'm shocked by. I mean, and there's no way in the world that I can sit here and say I can forgive this or excuse this. Why? Because I had just left somewhere, another platform, and experienced the same problem. And I let people know, hey, this is inappropriate and why it was inappropriate. Okay, and so you have some of these people that are mentally sick with religious worship, meaning they're using religion as an excuse, their belief thinking that I'm not a human being, therefore I can take from her. Okay, you're going to take something from me that you look at as not human and something that is evil in your eyes. At least that's the doctrine that you're telling people, but you're willing to take and profit from my stuff. You see, that's bullshit. Okay, so we need to decide sometimes, you know, when you go to court, when you go to court, what needs to be considered is, you know, the actual crime that was committed, right? And you also have to consider like the other issues relating to it. How long this was going on? Like, you know, when it comes to people who get, like for example, murder, right? Murder, for example. Okay. There's times that we have like what they call crimes of passion, where like, you know, maybe you and your husband get in an argument because you just found out that your husband's got a side chick and he hasn't, you know, paid any of the money. He's actually used money that you made to go ahead and secure like a love nest with somebody or whatever. This is just an example, okay? And so the woman like flies off and, you know, she grabs a broom handle and just starts beating the shit out of her husband, okay? That's something she did on impulse. That's something she did on impulse. Okay, was it right? No. Okay, but when it comes down to the court system, they're going to be like, okay, they understand that she acted on impulse. Okay, because it's kind of natural to do that. Okay, that does not excuse what she did. She's responsible for what she did. She needs to be able to sit here and say she's an adult. She's over the age of 18. Okay, once you're over the age of 18, at least here in the United States of America, you take full responsibility for what you do. Okay, now that was like what they call it, like I forgot what they call it, but legally, the legal names of it. Because when I do make my vision eventually, I'm going to literally list penal codes and stuff like that. But I'm going to explain what that would be like. You know, they have things like first degree murder, second degree murder, whatever. Okay, now let's just say, for example, this woman, right, knew that her husband was doing stupid stuff, right? But she plotted his demise. She called people and she involved people and like she had people like involved in it. Okay, not for just like a day or so. This went on for months. This went on for years. Okay, so all this time that she had to sit here and think about what she was doing and turn back her decision. Okay, because you cannot sit here and say after all this time that you didn't have time to sit back and use your mind to make sure that you didn't fall into that pit of, you know, wrongdoing. Okay, so if the courts found out that she had some sort of plan operated to where her husband was going to, you know, basically be gone, right? She orchestrated a plan, involved other people, got people, whatever. Seeing how long it was, like I said, the time of this, the whole course of this comes into play in the court system. How long have you been doing this? Like I said, it's different because it's completely different from somebody who just out of impulse, you know, decides to bash their husband upside the head. Okay, that's something she did because she's a human being and she hurt and she did something wrong. She's going to be punished for that, and rightfully so. Okay, but it's even worse when you had plenty of time to think about what you did, right? So when it comes to me separating the entertainment from the entertainer, I got to think about the offense of what these people did. These people deliberately did this, okay? And they used religion as an excuse, okay? Mind you, it's not like they weren't told. Because since 2015, I was trying to break this apart. Why in the world am I being targeted? What's going on? And I tried to figure out, okay, if it does have something to do with religion, I told you about religion. I told you about my rights. I told you about my rights here in the United States. I told you about my rights in England. Okay? It's not like you didn't know. You are fully accountable for what you do. Okay? Now, this is a hate crime. It's a hate crime. An orchestrated hate crime that has been calculated for a very long time. Like I said, I am dealing with the residual effects of what happened to me, at least, okay, not just from the experiment from growing up a child, but for the starting point, we're going to at least use 2008, somewhere around there. I'm going to say 2007, because the minute I walked through the door, there was a lot of attention on me. This is when they start love bombing you, okay? The drama didn't actually start until, really pick up into where it being a nightmare until about 2 months after. And I started there in, November. So, yeah, okay, so, yeah, I would say around, by January 2008, this is when I started realizing, okay, this is ridiculous, okay? But I have been dealing with people who have felt as though it was their responsibility to put me in a forced marriage, knowing the psychological effects, knowing what it was doing to me, knowing good and well that this was something I was highly opposed to, knowing what I went over and had experience with David 14. So for somebody to do that after knowing and being informed of what they were doing, of why it was wrong to do it, they should be held completely accountable for what they did. Now, I'm going to go to the next slide. Now I was thinking about the nature of, what makes some of these celebrities, okay, that I've encountered, what makes them the way that they are. Because I want to tell you, a logical mind person, to me, the interactions that I had with some of these celebrities blew me away. Like I said, the only way I can describe it is like circus personnel, wild animal / savage and ignorance. Because I remember in one of my conversations with one of these people, right? Okay, now I wish I was in a classroom, right? A classroom setting, because I would ask the question, how many people know, okay, that asking for somebody's financial information is a no-no? Like, your bank is not going to call you and ask for your financial information because they already have it. Somebody, one of the scams that they always ask you, okay, or tell you and try to inform you about, like, on news or PSAs or whatever, is these whole things about financial scams, risks that people take. Okay, now I'm talking this one celebrity, right? This one celebrity, and this particular celebrity seemed adamant about getting my bank details. She's adamant about it. Wanted to continue the conversation. I was not comfortable with somebody asked me that. Now, I would think that even a teenager would know you don't ask somebody that, especially when you just started talking to them. All right? Now, this is why I'm going to say that a lot of ignorance comes into play and the savage behavior. Why? It says, how could somebody exist living like this? Like, you are somebody who is over the age, these people are well over the age of 50, okay, over the age of 60, all right? How is it that you don't know about it? How is it in the world that you not know that to not even act? How is it you don't know not to ask that question? You know what I mean? Or did you think that somebody was so mesmerized by you that somebody would just be giving you that stuff or giving you that information? No, they are not. Not this chick. Because after that, I stopped talking to a lot of people and took some time to reflect on what in the world was going on. Okay? Now, when it comes to the development of some of these people, I'm talking about the mental development. Okay? I'm starting to think, okay, some of these people have been in the industry for a very long time. And since they were young, it depends on their upbringing, too. Some of these people never had any sort of formal instruction. Like, maybe their parents were so focused on, like, maybe, working or whatever, they never talked to their kids and said, hey, you don't touch things that don't belong to you. You know what I mean? Or a lot of the ignorance comes from people who don't ever do any research themselves, but they believe in certain ideologies and they don't fact check or they don't think straight. Because, mind you, I was accused of, coming back from the dead, but this is exactly what a clone is. And a lot of these people, these celebrity groups, they themselves are clones. Okay, do you know what you're thinking? Do you know what you believe? Do you know that what you're saying is it even logical? So I'm going to say that there was a lot of brainwashing, religious brainwashing that went involved in this. And, you know, realistically, I would not be able to tolerate somebody with that kind of mentality. Okay, and I cannot tolerate somebody who shows that kind of ignorance. You know what I mean? That's not me being snobby. It's me basically, obviously, I'm just basically saying, okay, that something is wrong with somebody who would do something like that and think that that's normal. You know what I mean? So this is at this point when this happened, that's when I stopped talking to celebrities, you know, or being very careful. And every once in a while, you know, there would be one that would like get my attention, like would contact me through like a messenger program trying to talk to me, and I was like, I'm not really happy about this. I'm not comfortable with this. Not happy with it at all. You know, some people are basically trying to steal from me, and then doing so under this whole idea of marriage, forced marriage. Okay, so let me tell you, targeted individual ladies, okay, ladies, and possibly some of you gentlemen as well. You know, a lot of these people, you would never think that somebody who had so much glamour, so much power, so much sway, such a history, right, would resort to crime. Okay, but they do. Okay. And we were all glamorized and mesmerized about, you know, what they did all the years ago, how they looked. And so, you know, it's funny, when I was younger, you know, you'd look at certain people in magazines and pictures and stuff like that, or you see clips of these particular people. And I'm going to tell you, it looks so fun. It mesmerized. You can think, my gosh, their life is so fun, so musical, so cool, right? But that's just the glamour. They know, you know, to take those pictures in certain angles. They know to, you know, have certain music playing when and certain outfits to wear to draw you in. Okay, but we never thought about the nature of what these people were. You know what I mean? All, you know, like the glamour in my life. It's kind of like when they walk past you or you see them on TV. It's like you immediately think uh, they have everything. You know what I mean? They have everything. But in reality, as an adult with adult eyes, I see that they don't. They don't have knowledge. You know, that's one of the most important things you can have. I myself am disappointed in the behavior of people and what they do. And but no, I think what this was meant to do to turn people against me, and also the obviously the brainwashing, the attack, the campaign against me. It was supposed to make me just want to wither up and die and feel as though, you know, oh my goodness, my stars don't care about me. I'm not that emotionally invested. What I'm angry about is that people, and then, you know, the attitude that I get when I do my intuitive downloads on these people, their attitude is like, well, they didn't even think that was right or wrong. It's like these people to me have pathological problems. Okay, I never signed on the dotted line saying that it was okay to be financially exploited. I never said that. You know what I mean? Things have to be agreed upon, and I'm shocked. That's all I can say. I'm shocked. You know what I mean? We are living in times right now, targeting individuals where this sort of stuff is running rampant. Okay, and don't think that certain people are above, like I said, above doing certain things that are outright shocking or criminal. Okay, we all like have to live in this system. We're all trying to make it. Okay, and some, like I said, some of the things that I'm dealing with are shocking. You know, they're shocking because, like I said, you know, the whole setup was for us to be so mesmerized by these people that we don't see them for what they are. You know what I mean? Enjoy your glamour, but make sure that you stay close to reality. I'm gonna wrap this video up. Take care. Bye bye. Haha, psych. I have one more thing to say before you click me off and move to another YouTube channel. You know, I am awake and I am at peace, meaning like, you know, I understand everything that happened, all the betrayals, what was going on, the plan, the plots, you know, I don't need to know every little detail, but the important things that I do know is, you know, that this was something that was very life threatening and I take it very seriously. For the last few months, I have been focusing on the life of CB Braganza. And, I even took a photo of myself because I'm so mesmerized and in love with CB Braganza's life. And I have to say that my facial features and his are very similar. I can see that there's no doubt about it. I am CB Berganza, okay? And this is one of the reasons why I've been taking pictures without my glasses. I've noticed when I move my glasses, I can see the eyebrow line, I can see the nose bridge, I can see where like the part where the nostrils are flaring downward and how my mouth is formed. This face is just another duplicate in a female form. You know what I mean? I am CB Braganza, and I'm very proud to be that person. Regardless of maybe of the fact that CB Braganza was somebody who people disregarded, disrespected, and stolen from. You know what I mean? The sort of person that people take advantage of because there's a system that's built upon not integrity, not intelligence, not actually telling the truth, but there's a lot of what they call liars, people who benefit from taking advantage of people such as CB Braganza. He's not the first person that people in power have taken advantage of, and you know what? He's not the last. But one thing for sure, he's somebody who had integrity, and I, in this life, try my hardest to live a good life. You know what I mean? And I have suffered for something that I should have never suffered for. And I'm letting people understand, that yes, look at this situation, and hopefully that'll never happen again. There's a lot of women who are in shelters that need help right now. And, I want people to start thinking about the serious nature of these sort of problems. Okay, it is not in any way trying to be rebellious when women need help. It's not in any way a woman trying to make some sort of uprising or anything like that, to go against male dominance or something. But women do have the right to protect themselves from abuse. Okay, financial abuse of all kinds right now is on the rise. Okay, why? Because everybody's talking about it. People hate their jobs. People are miserable. People are trying to find shortcuts in order to make their life a little bit more posh. Okay, that's not me making excuses for these people, okay? Because I understand these people are sitting here telling people that, they care about me, or some people aren't even making up that lie. They're doing it under some sort of accusation that I'm a bad person. I want, people need to make up their minds. Look at the actions of what people do. You know what I mean? And I've been following the story since I started, finding out little by little about what's been going on. And all I can tell you is, right now I am not in a rush to try to monetize my work. It's unfortunate that I've been sabotaged or, that I've had people do things that were against my will that I didn't appreciate. Okay. But right now it's time for me to start reflecting. You know what I mean? And I would like you guys to subscribe to my channel, hit the like button, hit the notification bell so that you constantly stay aware of my content. This is another section and stage of my life because now I figured out what was going on in my life. Okay. And the unraveling the mystery as to what was, why in the world, did I have to deal with all the things that I had to deal with. You know what I mean? And it's shocking to me, but when you come to the realization that there's very little to live for on this earth, very little, you have to find the things that make you happy because the things that you might put your energy into could disappoint you. Now, I was never that deeply emotionally invested into celebrities, okay? Like I said, they were cool. I know that I would get a little giddy when I would see them because, it's their glamour. It's their glamour, okay? But at the end of the day, these people are just as desperate and trying to make ends meet, and they also want something that a lot of people, you know, don't reach very, very, very quickly. And they want wealth, and they're willing to steal from people. Okay, and this is on the rise right now. So be careful. It doesn't matter who it is, how cool you think these people are. You be careful with your money, and you be very protective about putting your content on certain websites. You know what I mean? Right now, people are acting out all kinds of crazy plots, all kinds of crazy schemes, and people are taking out their frustrations on people. Okay? And through corporations. Through corporations. You know what I mean? So I want you guys to be safe. I want you guys to be careful. And I would like you guys to stay subscribed and keep following me as I go through my transition, meaning I'm transferring my attention to just talking about my life in general here on this on this channel. Okay, I don't know about me monetizing my work. It certainly should be monetized, but like I said, right now, you know, and this should be a lot of content creators, especially if you've noticed that weird things have been going on. People who decided to leave the 9 to 5 and thinking about moving on to other Patreon, especially if you've been dealing with some sort of targeting. Okay, they are not only covering 9 to 5 jobs, which is a job, which is like it's through an employer. Unfortunately, you know, certain platforms do get involved as well. Okay, and that's not even a 9 to 5. That's not even your employer. But I'm just saying is there's I'm going to call it spiritual warfare, especially if people use things like religion to get people blocked out. In this country, that is a shame. Okay, but you guys need to be safe. You guys need to be aware, and I would hopefully that you guys continue to follow me. I'm going to wrap up this video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Take care and enjoy the weekend.